So for today's video, I wanted to talk about a post I saw on social media. It was a post by Whitney Cummings, celebrity comedian, pretty popular. I don't know a ton about her political views, but based on the post and the bit I do know, I think she's liberal. And the post was, it was a picture of a woman who looked to be protesting or holding up a sign. And the sign said, "My body, my choice." And it had a picture of a medical mask with kind of a line through it, meaning like she wasn't going to wear it. And then underneath that, it said Trump 2020. And then Whitney Cummings' caption was something along the lines of, but your body can infect other people who are older and cause them to get sick. So that seems like a shitty choice. So help me understand what this even means, question mark. And it had, I don't know, 50,000, 100,000 likes. And when I see a post like that, it makes me think right away. Firstly, I'll say this. The comments were turned off on the post, which is interesting. I mean, there may be a very practical reason for that, where she didn't want a lot of fighting, or maybe it started to get ugly in the comments, so she deleted them. I think the post was from like 18 hours ago, so I didn't see it when it was first posted. But there's a little bit of a cop-out in that, right? If you're asking a question specifically, and you're making kind of a statement and an assessment of somebody's views, I think that should open to dialogue. But maybe she felt like that wasn't the place for the dialogue, or whatever her reasons were, she didn't have comments. That's interesting, but not the crux of what I think is interesting. So let me kind of break this down of how I think about that post and what it means and all that. And I think I'll start by saying there's a concept, they talk about it a lot in mixed martial arts. They probably talk about it in a lot of things, but you'll hear people say there's levels to this. And the idea is, people can be really good at mixed martial arts, but there's levels, right? You could be a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, you could be a level 10. But the best guys, let's say they're level 15, that becomes very apparent, very quickly. And, the idea is don't get too confident in where you are, because there's always that level up. There's always that next place to go. And the guy you might run into, or the girl you might run into, might be at that next level. And I think that applies to trying to think about these types of topics, these deeply complex, nuanced topics, is appreciating the fact that there's levels to it. And what you'll see is, let's take Whitney Cummings, right? In my mind, she's certainly not at level 0 or level 1, right? She's not a beginner at this, being able to break down people's thoughts and arguments and trying to think critically about it and kind of get to that second, third, fourth level of thinking about it, right? She saw something that she disagreed with and she questioned it, right? Like she thought, hey, you might be missing something. Here's a different perspective. Not wearing the mask could make somebody sick. So I applaud her for that. I think there's good in that, right? But much like the saying goes, there's levels to it. And I think what's beautiful about thinking critically, thinking rationally, trying to open your mind and see different perspectives is that the game doesn't end. The level, you can just keep getting better at it, right? And so the game really becomes just striving to continuously get better. And in this case, I think that's where Whitney Cummings fell short. I think there's often this false sense of, I've leveled up to the max. I get it. I've become a master at this. And therefore, I can start to make commentary on other people's views in a very authoritative, certain way, almost an arrogant way to an extent. And I'm okay and safe to do that because I'm at the highest level. I've thought about this enough. So what it makes me think right away is, and part of this is I tend to be contrarian. I like to play devil's advocate. I like to make sure that if something's rational and logic, I really want to pressure test it. When I look at that comment and that post, I start to see the issues, right? So let's break it down. So you have this woman who's protesting, who's saying, my body, my choice. I'm not going to wear a mask. And what Whitney Cummings is saying is, and so the assumption there is she's comparing it to somebody who would say, my body, my choice when it comes to abortion, right? That's what a lot of liberals would say. I'm a woman, it's my body. You can't pass a law to tell me what to do with my body. Understood, right? I can get the logic behind that. And, we can debate in another video if that's right, wrong, or what. So what this protester is saying is, hey, same principles apply. right? It's my body, it's my choice. If I don't want to wear that mask, I'm not going to wear it, right? So, okay, maybe she's at level 2. She's taken an argument that the other side has made and she's kind of throwing it back at them. Now, I would argue she's doing it probably, and this is all a lot of assumptions because it's just a picture, but I would argue she's doing it more to stick it to them in more of like, aha, like I gotcha. You guys like to throw that out. Now I'm going to throw it back at you when it works the other way. And now you checkmate, right? You can't say anything back to me. Whitney Cummings comes in as, level 5 or whatever you want to call it, and says, wait, you're not thinking about this enough, right? You're trying to draw a parallel here. And although there's aspects of it that are parallel, it's not completely parallel. And Whitney Cummings is calling out that in this scenario, you not wearing the mask puts other people at risk and they could die, right? And in her words, that makes it a shitty choice. And then in kind of a condescending, arrogant way, help me understand what this even means. What I would say to Whitney Cummings is, I love it. I love the questioning. I love the debate. That's why I made the comment about the comment section, right? I love the idea of posing that question and trying to learn and understand the other side. But if you can't have the conversation with that woman who's protesting, have the conversation with yourself. Try and put yourself in that person's shoes. Try and understand. Don't default to this person is evil or stupid. Default to this person sees some truth in this. There's some rational thought in this to them. What might it be? For example, in this case, I would argue that Whitney Cummings is using her value framework, the things she deems important, to tear down this woman's argument about my body, my choice, right? Whitney Cummings believes that the risk of not wearing a mask and getting other people sick, particularly elderly people, is a horrible thing to do. And you should do your civic duty to prevent that bad thing from happening and wear your mask. What I think she's missing is that that's her perspective. She sees it that way. And I would assume, I don't know this for sure, but I would assume in this case, she doesn't view abortion in that way, right? She doesn't view abortion as somebody being hurt, per se. She doesn't view it as something that's bad. It's a choice that a woman makes. It only impacts her, and that's why my body, my choice. What you need to do, though, is empathize with the other side, right? There's the famous Louis C.K. bit about abortion where he says, all these people that are protesting abortion, people think they're crazy, but they genuinely believe there's a building where they're in there killing babies. Like, of course they're going to protest. Of course they're going to act crazy. Now, are they right? That's debatable. But in their minds, that's what they believe. So they feel like they're totally in the right to protest this. So if you think of it through that lens, for Whitney Cummings, she doesn't think they're killing babies in there. She thinks they're killing cells that mean nothing, right? And there's no impact on that baby, right? Or that fetus or a potential father or other, there's no impact. It's in effect a victimless event. It's a victimless action versus not wearing the mask. There's victims, right? There's the elderly. I think that's where she missed the point, right? And it's not to say one is right or one is wrong. But again, if you're going to make that post and make a stand and say, that's a shitty choice and you don't get it, well, you better be sure as shit that you get it. And you've thought through all aspects of it, right? And again, I would say in this case, she hasn't. She's missing the point that for this woman, perhaps, the equivalent of getting an elderly person sick by not wearing a mask is equally as bad, or what's way worse is an abortion where you're killing a baby, right? So for Whitney Cummings to pass that value judgment and just try and simplify it so much, it's a mistake, right? It hurts. It hurts what's trying to be done. It hurts bringing people together. Ask the question. Try and understand, why do you think that? Why do you see it as the same? Why did you make that poster? Don't just post it on social media to get the likes and don't give any comments to it. And I don't blame her. I give her credit for getting to that level 5 or whatever you want to call it of challenging. But don't just challenge when it's convenient for you, when it's comfortable, when it fits into your narrative. Challenge yourself equally as much as you're challenging that woman with the poster, and I think you'll get to a much better outcome. It doesn't mean you'll change your mind and you'll agree with that woman, but you'll have a much better perspective on why you disagree with them and understand why they believe what they believe, and that they may not be evil, they may just think differently than you.